Jake clutched the steering wheel, his knuckles white. His eyes darted across the dashboard, absorbing every gauge and dial. The roar of the engine vibrated through his body, a symphony of power and speed. Except it wasn't a real car. It was a simulator, tucked away in the corner of his bedroom. But in his mind, Jake wasn't in his room. He was on the track, the legendary track of the Grand Finals, the pinnacle of racing. Every year, the best racers from around the world competed for the coveted title. Jake devoured every race on TV, his heart pounding with each gear change, each daring maneuver. He dreamt of the day he would be there, behind the wheel of a real race car, feeling the wind whip past him as he crossed the finish line in first place. He yearned for the thrill of the competition, the roar of the crowd, the taste of victory. At 15, Jake was already a natural behind the wheel. He could navigate virtual tracks with a precision that impressed even seasoned gamers. He knew every turn, every chicane, every straight stretch like the back of his hand. But virtual reality wasn't enough. Jake craved the real thing. He wanted to feel the G-force push him back in his seat, to smell the burning rubber, to experience the true adrenaline rush of professional racing. However, the Grand Finals were more than just a race. They were a symbol of achievement, a testament to skill and dedication. And Jake, despite his talent, was still just a boy with a dream that seemed impossibly far away, or so he thought. The Grand Finals website glared back at him, the words minimum age 25 mocking his ambition. Jake slammed his laptop shut, frustration gnawing at his gut. He knew age was just a number, but in the world of professional racing, it was a barrier he couldn't overcome. Not yet. He stormed out of his room, the injustice of it all burning like a hot coal in his chest. He found his dad in the garage, tinkering with their old Ford. The smell of motor oil and the sound of clanging tools were familiar comforts, a stark contrast to the high-tech world of racing simulators and online leaderboards. "Dad, it's not fair!" Jake burst out, his voice laced with frustration. "I can beat those guys, I know I can, but they won't even give me a chance because of my age." His dad, a mechanic with grease-stained hands and a patient smile, listened quietly. He understood Jake's passion, his need for speed. He had seen the spark in his son's eyes ever since Jake was a little boy, building makeshift tracks for his toy cars. "Patience, Jake," his dad finally said, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've got the talent, that's for sure, but racing is as much about experience as it is about skill. You've got plenty of time to make your mark." But Jake didn't want to wait. He wanted to race now, to prove himself against the best in the world. He knew his dad was right, but the thought of waiting another 10 years was unbearable. There had to be another way. Later that night, Jake couldn't sleep. The Grand Finals website and its taunting age restriction replayed in his mind. He tossed and turned, his frustration morphing into a dull ache of restlessness. Deciding a glass of milk might help, he went downstairs to the kitchen. But as he opened the refrigerator, something else caught his eye. On the top shelf, nestled amongst the orange juice and milk cartons, was a strange glass cup. It was filled with a swirling, viscous liquid, glowing faintly red under the refrigerator light. It looked like nothing Jake had ever seen before. Curiosity, that age-old siren whispered in his ear. He knew he shouldn't, but something about the glowing liquid drew him in. Hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence, Jake brought the cup to his lips and took a sip. The liquid was surprisingly sweet, with a slightly metallic aftertaste. A warmth spread through his body, starting in his stomach and radiating outwards. He felt a surge of energy, a clarity of mind he had never experienced before. What was this stuff? He didn't know, but he felt different, changed. The next morning, Jake's high school class went on a field trip. Not just any field trip, but a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to visit the actual Grand Finals track. Jake could hardly contain his excitement. He had only ever seen it on TV, a distant dream shimmering on the screen. Now he was here, breathing the same air, walking the same grounds as his racing heroes. The air buzzed with anticipation as they approached the track. The roar of engines reverberated through the air, sending shivers down Jake's spine. As they entered the paddock, a sea of gleaming cars, mechanics in overalls, and the unmistakable scent of gasoline filled his senses. It was exhilarating, overwhelming, everything he had ever imagined and more. The highlight of the trip was the simulator room. Here, aspiring racers could experience the thrill of the Grand Finals track without the risk. Students crowded around, eager for their turn. Jake, however, hesitated. He had spent countless hours on simulators before, but something felt different now. He felt a strange confidence, a heightened awareness he couldn't explain.